So this past week, when I was with Helene and some of the boys, Helene asked me if I'm going to speak about Meir on Shabbos, and I said, no, I'm going to speak about him Saturday night. Of course, that didn't really work. But I did have my main drasha, so to speak, and it turned to Meir, which is not surprising, but I also found out that Rabbi, of course, spoke about Meir, and Rabbi Weinberg at the Shtibel, with nobody from the family, also spoke about Meir. And of course, Noam and Hashkama also spoke about Meir. There's still a lot more to say. I'm not going to say a lot more, but I'm going to reflect upon something that Noam said this morning, and I said this morning, and a couple of other, hopefully, brief messages. Mishpatim starts off about being an Eved, and both Noam and I mentioned that the primary difference between an Eved and a free person is an Eved does not have his own time. An Eved Hashem, all the time, is given to Hashem. At the end of the parsha, we are told Vayomer Hashem LaMoshe Aleinu Hara. The second, if you will, explanation for the end of the Aseret HaDibros giving the Torah. Hashem says Moshe Rabbeinu Aleinu Hara, go up the mountain, v'heyeh sham, and be there. Seems pretty redundant. If you're going to go up to the mountain, of course you're going to be there. So the Kotzker, perhaps others, point out that many times we are in places and we're not there. So I had one observation. I looked around actually while Noam was doing the siyum, while Helen was speaking, while Eitan was speaking, and I noticed that not one person was looking at their cell phone. Isn't that remarkable? Focus, I actually looked now, you're also not looking at it. But that is the sign, the Hayei Sham. I don't remember ever seeing Meir look at his cell phone during davening. I cannot say that about most other people who come to daven, except on Shabbos, Baruch Hashem. Meir is one of the last to finish davening Shemona Esrei. His kids are among the last to finish Shemona Esrei. It's not about just the length of davening, it's about being physically present and being mentally present and being focused on what one is supposed to accomplish. And the end of the pasuk is V'yadnolochas l'chos ha'evan v'satorah v'samitzvah. You will the tablets of stone, the Torah, the mitzvah, Asher Kosafti, which I wrote, Lahorosam, to teach them. Well, of course, Moshe Rabbeinu is going to be the teacher. How's he going to be the teacher? So one way he's going to teach her is to teach. He's going to tell it over. Torah Shabbat, Torah Shabbat, teach it over, 3-4 times, so on. Chazal tell us exactly how it went and how we heard the Torah at least 4 times. But the pasuk doesn't actually say Moshe is going to speak. It says the Hayei Sham, the Lahorasam, and those are 2 words go together. That is a message, if you will, the Meir message. You want to do something, just be there. How does Moshe Rabbeinu start off? He's on Har Sinai, not yet called Har Sinai, the mountain of the snare. Shalom Aleichem, take off your shoes. The place upon which you're standing is Admas Kodesh. Say one of the commentaries, whatever place you're standing on, right now, you can turn it to Admas Kodesh. And that really was Meir. Whatever he did, a lot of people give shalach manas. A lot of people write checks to soldiers. A lot of people give to all the soldier things and so on. Meir was driven not just to do the shalach manas, he wanted to be there, deliver the shalach manas. Let the soldiers know there are live people behind these checks, so to speak. If you look on that card, you'll see one of the pictures, one of the many pictures that I've seen over the years. Everyone talks about Meir as being the Gabbai. There's no Gabbai like Meir. That's kind of an understood But Meir understood the Gabbai role was not just about giving out aliyahs and figuring out who's going to daven and how, and he was a master at this too, figuring out 3 minyanim, X number of Bali Tefillah. This one here, this one, it's really remarkable. It's not just a jigsaw puzzle, it's a puzzle of trying to figure out how to make as many people inspired and also happy. And that's the role of the Gabbai, to make sure that davening is the best davening it could be. He took the heat for decisions. Some decisions, frankly, over the years were not his own, but mine. We were in very much sync, so many times we didn't have to speak. We just kind of winked and knew. Like he knew what I thought, I knew what he thought. In shul, outside of shul. Eitan pointed, I think since your father's one wrote was probably 5 or 6. So how many years back that is, I don't know, but you can figure it out yourself. I want to talk about one thing, 2 things that are practical, 3 things that are practical. One is a repetition, the Shalach Manos I just mentioned. If you didn't sign up, take your card home, sign up, go online, you can do it online like everything else in the world. There is a hope among the family and myself, and I think many of us together, that the Siyum Hashas will not be a 1-year thing. We understand very well. I don't know how many doctors everybody here did or around the world did, but most people didn't sign up for home separate. I know there's Daf Yomi coming, so you can do those if that's what you're up to. But most people signed up for 10 to 15 blot, which most people who learn can figure out how to learn 10 to 15 blot over the year. And if the same people, frankly, sign up again for the same number of blot they did last year, it's an easy learn. It would be a great credit for Meir's neshama and family. There is no way that a community in a shul can say thank you for what Meir did. There is an attempt by the shul to do something in Meir's memory. I'll describe it briefly. But before describing it briefly, I just want to ask a question. If you're on a board of directors and you ever witnessed the unanimous vote of board of directors, please raise your hand. Okay, so there's an unanimous vote of board of directors for this, which is kind of pretty, I don't know, unusual. It's not really the word, it's just like unheard of. So the committee was myself and Arthur and Elliot, back and forth a lot of different ideas. Most of the ideas centered around, of course, the shul bima, and we discussed, of course, with Helene and the boys. Somebody go over there sometimes. And this is what we came up with, and this is what was approved by the board. So the bima, if you're familiar with our main shul, so the mechitzas are made of a called tinted glass, which has etched stone of Yerushalayim image. And the notion is to have something which will complement that, but not the same images, but rather images which would be precious to Meir, and we'll discuss those with the family. Thoughts, of course, that come to mind are Yisrael, Purim, Shalach Manos, Israel, Talmud Torah, Shul, a lot of different things you can imagine. But the idea is to fill in those, if you will, brass rails that are around the bima and enclose them. Anytime somebody looked to the bima over the years, and I'm sure everybody still looks the same way to the bima, you're expecting Meir to be there. The Gabbanim are doing an awesome job in Meir's absence. But they all know that the shoes to fill are enormous, and we appreciate everything that they're doing, and that's really not the point of this, but rather to be able to memorialize Meir in a way that will enable us, when we look at the bima, to still, if you will, appreciate who Meir was. And more important, who Meir continues to be. It's really remarkable for me to be able to get chizuk from Helene and from Eitan and from Noam and from Ezra and from Ali and from Chani. It's sort of just remarkable. I know I can do chizuk, you give me chizuk, but I need chizuk too. We all know that. And the greatest chizuk is to see that what he did is just in you, through and through, through and through. I was in a bris last week in Kew Garden Hills. I'll just share this one. I was in Kew Garden Hills, 6:40 in the morning is davening. And I come into shul, and I feel I'm there for a simcha. I was there for a simcha. It's a bris, Baruch Hashem, Ken Yirbu. And there's a tiny window into the base medrash, Rabbi Reuben's shul. And through that tiny window, I see two young men learning. I got there at 6:25, because if you know me, I'm neurotic about being on time. So I don't know where I got that from. And there's an Eitan is there learning. So I didn't want to go. I took a picture because I wanted to get a picture to send to Halim. But Eitan's there learning the Chavrusa, so I didn't want to go in and take a picture, so I couldn't really get a picture of two of them. So I went in, I figured I disturbed their learning. Frankly, I don't think he noticed when I walked in. I tried to get in that way. Karen, of course, had to get in. The women's section was closed, so she knocked, and I guess disturbed the Eitan's learning, but okay.
Not Chavrusa.
The Chavrusa, okay. The Chavrusa got it, okay. But Meir understood being there is about the future, the present, and the past all together. If you want to connect all those, you connect it through learning. He had a lot of joys in his life, many. Among the greatest joys in his life was one of the boys making a seal. Anybody making a seal. And I have no doubt that he is smiling Gan Eden. And back to Eben Hashem. The Matzeh, of course, the end talks about being an Eben Hashem. What is the most important aspect of Eben Hashem is Ivdus Hashem, the Simcha Gilu Fana Bernana. And one of the great images I have of Meir, and the great experience I have of Meir, is dancing together with him. And him dancing sometimes just by himself at some wedding or event, and just rejoicing in life. Because, again, the Hayesha, he is there and present every moment. If there's one message that is the most precious to me, it's that message, to be there at every moment. As expected, whenever I come into shul, I'm trying to, I think first, where would Meir be? But that's only, occupational hazard, so to speak. But many, many times every day, when I'm thinking about something about the shul or the community, about Israel, I'm thinking about what would Meir think, how would Meir think about it? Because he was a clear thinker, he was not focused on himself, he was focusing on Avodah Hashem, Avodah Avodah. I hope every person here feels the same inspiration as I do. I know not everybody was okay to have as long a relationship as I had. I think some of you had a parallel close relationship as I did. The relationship is not over. The relationship is really dependent on the Hayeshan. Are we present? Do we take the message home? Do we learn how to be an Eben Hashem? Do we say the time, back to Noam in my message this morning, the time that God gives us is ours to use for the good of Klal Yisrael, for the good of our own community, for the good of our families. And if you use that, if you do that, then you will be rewarded, B'nai Hara, with what we enjoys, we all enjoy. The children, the grandchildren, America's Rosh Hashanah, we should join the simchas for good things, and we should all do things for the zechus of Meir's Neshama today, and each and every day, every minute of our lives.
I want to specifically acknowledge the presence